Donald Trump, on April 2nd of this year, 2016, you predicted a very massive recession soon in the United States, saying it's a terrible time right now to invest in the stock market. Well, you also said to the Washington Post recently, I think we're sitting on an economic bubble. Well, I think we're not only sitting on an economic bubble, I think we're lying on one. I actually feel not only that, but I have felt it for quite some time now. Most Americans, well, they feel the strain day in and day out. Mr. Trump, we've been listening to you lately a lot. And quite frankly, I haven't been this impressed in years. When I listen to what's coming from your mouth, I tune in. Many are very frightened of you. They're frightened because, well, the way you express yourself, it feels like disdainful words, but actually, is it disdainful coming from the other side? I see hate signs. Some are paid to show up at your rallies. They're paid to show up to shut you up. Isn't that what the Pharisees did to Christ? Yell the loudest and give false testimony, have to shut up the truth. I'm personally fascinated because I can relate to what you're doing and what you're saying. And I've hoped for quite some time that someone would gut up and come to our rescue, the American people. Now, I know I'm not speaking for all, but that's okay, because I also know I speak from my heart, something you do, Mr. Trump, on a regular basis. And when you speak from your heart, you get ostracized for it. There are those who would rather have a predetermined canned speech. I guess they like to watch the robot, the one that roams from side to side reading a teleprompter. Well, it bores me. Don't people know you didn't have to do this? As you've confessed, you're not a politician, and you sure don't need the massive hate that reeks from those who don't understand where you're coming from. Gee, more people should have asked Obama where he was coming from when he continually used the word change and the word hope. Most found out what that meant too late. Mr. Trump, you've lived the life of Riley. You know, my daughter had a spoiled cat named Riley once. You have billions of dollars, a gorgeous wife, beautiful children, and your health, everything any one of us would dream about. So why are so many mad at you when you don't have to stand up? You don't have to take on the gainsayers and help the typical American citizen. You're very serious about making America what it once was and what it can be again. If certain people would just understand your intentions to help us, not hurt us. You don't have to get involved, but you're there. You're there making wonderful promises that I personally believe you'll do everything in your power to keep. And when I speak of your power, you've proven that over the years. It's not rhetoric. You do have power. It's not just money and position. I'm impressed. But I'm more impressed that you are reserving yourself for us. You don't owe us this. The typical politician who runs for president of this United States, they love all the attention, the stares, the accolades. We sure know Hillary likes this, but you, Donald, you've been receiving that for years, just as Donald Trump. So I know there's no personal agenda behind your running for president. You don't need the attention, the praise, and you sure don't need the hate. And you're using your own money to speak to us. How many listening are economically secure, and you just don't know what all this fuss is about? Well, all the polls say the economy is the #1 concern of Americans. Jobs. We want jobs, something you know a lot about. And then safety. That's the second concern. Is there anyone out there who wonders what it will take to get our present leaders to finally step up to the plate and really make us feel safe? When Obama keeps depleting our military down to nothing, how safe do you feel? Do his comforting words help you sleep better at night? You see, Obama doesn't have a care. Our tax dollars secure his guards and guns to keep him and his family safe. All at the same time, he asks you to give up yours. Our military is so depleted at his command. If we were attacked, would we win as we have in the past? I know a lot listening have concerns about the deficit. Let me ask you a question. With the present deficit at 19 trillion, that's trillion, why is the United States pumping over $50 billion to over 28 countries every year? Oh, you just love to see your paycheck reduced and meted out to whatever whim that your elected officials deem fit for that week. So how does Trump plan to get this deficit down without the continual stabbing of the average American? Well, he says, number one, they're very rich. They could use a raise or maybe start paying them rather than hide it in other countries. And then lowering taxes for most of us, that'd give us a break. We'd be able to not only catch up, but support the economy by purchasing the things we need or want. I heard someone say, well, we need somebody who's been battle tested and someone who has the ability to articulate conservative principles. Oh, you mean like Obama? How was Obama ever battle tested in anything? What empire or even business did he ever get off the ground? He was a community organizer, a state senator. He had no experience, no background suitable to know how to get us out of debt, and apparently he couldn't even choose aides to help him figure it out. Or did he want to figure it out? We're worse mess today than we were 8 years ago. You can't blame Bush for everything now. You've had your chance. And all you've done is tax and spend, and golf and give parties and bow down to other leaders to embarrass us. Well, do I trust Trump, who's been accused of filing corporate bankruptcy? Absolutely. Listen, if he knows how to fall and get back up, brush himself off, and then become richer than before, he's the one I trust with our finances. He's the one who's learned how to do the deals because he's been in the mud with the big boys. He knows how to get favor. He's the one who can look other country leaders in the eye and get them to keep their promise to us, unlike Obama and Iran. You say, well, Trump is just not charismatic. Thank God. How many out there voted for Obama because he was charismatic? And where did he get us? Many believed all the hope and change rhetoric. Yeah, Obama really did mean change, just not the kind of change Americans who voted for him believed he meant. You see, no one asked him, gee, what kind of change do you mean? Okay, what about this saying? Trump's going to build a wall between us and Mexico. Excuse me? That wasn't his original idea. How many years ago and how many of our politicians have promised to build that wall and have never done it? But he gets the blame for mentioning that he can get it done? You know, I can remember reading about Wallman Ice Skating Rink in New York. Yeah, a 6-year effort to renovate failed and was $12 million over budget. Trump stepped up to the plate. He said, give me the project. I'll finish the rink by Christmas. I have total confidence I'll be able to do it. And he did. Now then, doesn't he also have confidence about a wall somewhere? He finished the rink 2 months ahead of schedule, $750,000 under budget. And under the agreement, he operated the rink for 1 year. He donated the profits to a mutually agreed upon charity. Trump admitted he knew very little about ice skating rinks, but when he stepped into the project, he was tired of hearing about the botched city efforts and just wanted to get her done. Aren't you tired of hearing politicians and their promises always failing to deliver? We need a hands-on leader who knows how to get things moving. You know, some even get angry because he says Mexico will pay for a wall between us. Excuse me. Do you want to pay for the long ago promised wall? Do you want your taxes increased? A smaller paycheck? Are you aware that the United States gives Mexico billions of dollars annually, as we do other countries, for doing nothing? All from your pocket, and every handout increases our debt. I want you to ask yourself, why do you want to give them billions of dollars for nothing? And they don't have to participate in building a wall? Oh, please. And don't try the race card on me. It doesn't work. I love all races. Now then, some feel alienated by some of Donald's remarks, like certain women who shared he has said things that are offensive. Okay? I've heard Mr. Trump say on more than one occasion, I didn't start it. I would say to you women who may be brave, but not necessarily smart, when you navigate to areas attempting to build a reputation for yourself, with your clever little gotcha questions and divisive words, we get your motive. And you know what? When it backfires on you, you wonder why few are rescuing you. When Trump hits back, it angers you. Here's a clue. Try saying something similar to your husband, boyfriend, or significant other, and see how well you're received. Here's another clue. Get over it and move on. You're not in kindergarten. Not anymore. Sticks and stones may break my... Look, you know, the Pharisees tried to trap Christ into saying something that would ruin him. That's no different today. But some say, well, he's so angry. He mirrors our anger and what's been happening to this nation for way too long. It's called righteous indignation. Don't be so offended. He's not angry with you. He's angry with the politicians, the GOP establishment, those seizing power and making money off the backs of hardworking Americans like you. He wants you to have decent jobs. He wants you to stop losing your homes and your savings accounts. He's angry with those who thwart our Constitution. He's tired of promises with no action. He doesn't need this war, this guilt trip. He wants to restore what we've had taken away. We've been hurt. We've been patient. And now it's time to deliver. And there are those who are very afraid of him because Donald Trump has a reputation for delivering the goods. I'd like to right here insert a word about people who need apologies. Notice I said need, not want. I've learned a lot over the years about people. And when we're slighted or put down through words or actions, we have a choice. We can let those words go in us, or we can let them bounce off us. I used to let them go in, and I was constantly hurt and always looking for an apology. And here's what I learned. Most of the time, you will not get apologies. Oh, it's wonderful if you do. But if you're looking for one or expecting one, you'll run your life on empty because most people do not apologize. Now then, many who do err, they learn their mistakes and then they move on. Now, I'm going to share the other side. This is for those who have a tendency to remain in your hurt, wallowing in it. You like to enforce submission. Well, I have 4 descriptions for your dilemma. You're prideful, controlling, you're immature, and you're unforgiving. You insist on apologies because you like people on their knees to you and others. And when you pull the cover back, it's about power and control. It's sort of a God syndrome. Some people measure their success on how many of the rest of us they can control. Megan? Frankly, you know what? I like the fact that Donald Trump doesn't just cow down and let people walk on him. You know what he does? He takes notice and he has respect for himself. That tells me that he'll not let other nations and their leaders walk all over us. Do you think our founding fathers were so different than Trump? Go online, read an article entitled 7 Ways Donald Trump is Just Like the Founding Fathers. It's not a bad reputation to have. Look, Americans are a peace-loving country. But if you mess with us, and if you strike first, we will retaliate, just like we did with Pearl Harbor. We do defend ourselves when picked on. And that's the way I see Donald Trump. He stands up for himself, and he'll stand up for us. He wants peace, and he said he'll defend our borders and country. You should want to feel safe. Have you felt safe with Obama? You do realize he's diminished our military down to nothing. He's actually working towards total disarmament. Huge mistake. We can't look weak to other countries. He takes us down to nothing, and then he spends your tax dollars building up the countries who scream they hate us and promise to bury us like Iran. Gee, does Congress hate us too? There are those who say he's just not presidential. Oh, and Hillary Clinton is? Now, if you haven't already, you need to Google some facts. Also, ask yourself if you've ever heard or known of any president who was born with an innate ability to know everything about running a country. Donald's smart enough to know how to surround himself with those who are educated in every aspect of what our country needs. Donald Trump says, "I've always been a winner." While some see that as pride and arrogance, I see him as a winner with confidence. While some see that as a bankruptcy, as the sign of losing, I see it as only a bridge to greener pastures, which he's proven works for him. He never shows weakness, and thus he gains respect, something this nation has needed to recapture for a long time. That's why people are paying attention. So here's how I see it. This is Trump truth. If you're waiting for perfection, you may miss it. It'll pass you by. If you're waiting for someone to change and be more like you, look in the mirror. Now, ask yourself, have you ever misspoken? Have you ever said anything you wished you could take back? Because if you can answer never, then you pick up the first stone. And you stand in front of the rest of us because we'd like to view what a perfect person looks like. You see, I believe it's more dangerous not to know what your neighbor, your leaders, your politicians, and your enemies are thinking. Donald tells it like it is. He's right up front, and I'm ready to trust Donald to help get us out of this mess. Can you trust what the Clintons are thinking and doing right now? Oh, gee, let's see. The word impeachment comes to me. The word emails, Benghazi, lies, sex scandals. Should I go on? Donald Trump, I believe you are the most successful presidential candidate nominee to ever run for president. Many who speak never Trump, they're confused, they're uninformed, and you know what? They're just plain jealous. You have my vote, sir. God bless you.